What if the ancient world was never truly divided? What if Africa, Arabia, and Asia were not isolated civilizations, but part of a hidden, interconnected system? A system built on trade, knowledge, movement, and influence that shaped human history long before modern borders existed. Because thousands of years ago, there were no continents as we understand them today. There were only roots, connections, and people who refused to stay in one place. History is often told in fragments. Ancient Egypt, Mesopotamia, the Indus Valley, early Arabia, each presented as separate stories, separate timelines, separate achievements. But when we step back, a different picture begins to emerge. A picture of interaction, movement, exchange. Because the truth is, civilizations didn't grow in isolation. They evolved through contact. And Africa stood at the center of one of the most important crossroads in human history. Geographically, Africa is uniquely positioned. To its northeast lies Arabia. Beyond that, Asia. Between them are narrow bodies of water like the Red Sea. Today, these may seem like barriers. But in ancient times, they were pathways. The distance between Africa and Arabia at certain points is incredibly small, close enough for early seafarers to cross with basic vessels. This made East Africa a gateway, a place where worlds met, and where connections began. The Red Sea was not an obstacle. It was an ancient highway. For thousands of years, people traveled across it, trading goods between African shores and Arabian ports. Gold from Africa, incense from Arabia, textiles, beads, metals. But trade was never just about objects. It was about exchange. Languages began to influence each other. Customs blended. Ideas traveled with merchants. Ports became melting pots of culture, where identities mixed and new ones were formed. Arabia played a critical role in this network. It wasn't just a destination, it was a bridge. Caravans crossed vast deserts, linking coastal trade routes to inland regions. From Arabia, goods and knowledge moved further east into regions of Persia, into South Asia, even toward early Southeast Asian networks. This created a chain of connection, a continuous flow stretching across continents. And at one end of that chain was Africa. Beyond the Red Sea lies a much larger system, the Indian Ocean. Ancient sailors understood something remarkable. The winds, seasonal monsoon winds, allowed ships to travel in predictable patterns, from East Africa to South Asia and back again. This wasn't accidental navigation. It was knowledge, carefully observed and passed down. Trade routes expanded, connecting coastal Africa with distant lands across the ocean, creating one of the earliest global trade systems in history. With movement came transformation. Culture did not stay fixed, it evolved. Languages began to share similarities across regions. Certain words, sounds, and structures show patterns of interaction. Architecture also reflects influence. Design techniques, materials, symbolic elements, spiritual ideas travel too. Concepts of divinity, ritual, and cosmology show parallels across Africa, Arabia, and parts of Asia. These are not coincidences. They are traces of connection. Trade networks carried more than goods. They carried knowledge, mathematics, astronomy, navigation, medicine. These ideas move between regions, evolving with each interaction. Ancient Africa contributed to this exchange, not as a passive participant, but as an active force. Communities along trade routes became centers of learning, places where knowledge was shared, adapted, and preserved. So why isn't this connection widely emphasized? Because history is often simplified, divided into clear categories. Civilizations separated into neat boxes. But reality is rarely that simple. Connections are harder to trace. They blur boundaries and they challenge traditional narratives. But when we look closer, the evidence of interaction is there. Here's the twist. What if the ancient world functioned more like a network than isolated empires? What if civilizations were nodes, connected by constant movement and exchange? That would mean no single region developed alone. Progress was shared, built collectively. And Africa's role, not peripheral, but central. The story of ancient Africa, Arabia, and Asia is not a story of separation. It is a story of connection, of people crossing seas and deserts, of ideas traveling beyond borders, of cultures shaping one another over time. And when we understand this, we begin to see history differently, not as isolated achievements, but as a shared human journey. For more hidden histories, untold connections, and powerful stories, subscribe to Dark History File, because the truth about our past is more connected than we ever imagined.